Hi all, this is Mosmi, your Python trainer. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In my previous episode, I had mentioned about variable. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about variables. Let's begin. In today's episode, we are going to talk about what is a variable, the rules which you need to follow while keeping a name for your variable, what is a static typing, what is a dynamic typing, and what are the differences between these two. So let's begin. What is a variable? You can assume variable as a container which holds the value, and as name suggests, these values may vary. You can see a container on my screen. We call it a lunchbox. And currently it is holding the items rice and vegetables. Another day, it may hold items like sandwich and fruits. Same happens in programming. In program, a variable stores value which you use for operation. And this value may vary depends on your program. You can call this variable by any name, say X, Y, Z, but as a programmer, you should give a variable name which makes sense. Also, you need to follow few rules while naming a variable in Python. In Python, variables name can be a combination of letters, digits, and underscore. Your variable name cannot start with a digit. Keywords are the Python reserved words, which you cannot use as a variable name. Also, the special symbols like at the rate, dollar sign, hash, etc., you cannot use in your variable name. A variable name length can be of any length. Also, few points you need to remember while naming a variable. Python is a case sensitive language. This means capital X and small x are not the same. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you should give a proper name to your variable, which makes sense. Say in your program, there is a variable which holds the counting value. So instead of giving name C, you can give the name count. So later when you look at your code after a long gap, you can figure out what count represents. Also, when you are creating a variable with long length, you can separate those words with underscore. Now let's see how we can create a variable in Python. So in Python, there is no specific syntax of creating a variable. The moment you type any name and you assign any value to it, it creates a variable. Let's see how we can create a variable in Python. I'm creating a variable here, say age is equal to 16, and I'm printing its value. Pretty good, right? Say I want to name my variable, which starts with underscore. I can do that. If I'm giving a variable name which starts with digit, and definitely I will get an error. Also, you cannot use symbols like at the rate, age at the rate 123 is equal to 16, and again you will get an error. Say you are using a keyword to assign a value, it will give you an error as true is a keyword in Python. So we saw how to create a variable. Now let's see what is typing. Typing in Python refers to the type of data. I'm not talking about the process which you do from the keyboard. It is not the process of typing from the keyboard. It refers to the type of data. And based on that, there are two typing, static typing and dynamic typing. Now, what is static typing? Languages like Java, C, C++ support static typing. In static typing, you need to declare a variable before using it. You can see this C code where I have declared two variables num and sum as int. So basically num and sum are two variables that can hold value integer only. Later in my program, if I try to assign some different values, say string value, float value, or double value to variable num or sum, it will raise an error. So in static typing, compiler determines what kind of data a particular variable will hold during compile time only. That is not the case with dynamic typing. In dynamic typed languages, you need not to specify a variable type. You can directly use it. Say in Python, we directly declare a variable num and we initialize it with the value 10. Later in my program, I can assign a string value also to this variable. So in dynamic typing, interpreter determines the type of a variable at runtime based on the value it holds. Simple, right? Let's see this using an example of program. Let's create a program where I'm creating a variable, say number, which holds the value 10, and I'm printing the value of my variable number. Later in my program, I'm using same variable and I'm assigning it a value that is string 10, and again I'm printing the value. Save your program and run it. Say dynamic type.py. Run your program using F5 key from your keyboard. Here you can see first the variable number stores the value 10 and later it holds the value ten, which is string. So this is possible due to dynamic typing. Let's see the difference between these two. In static typing, declaration is required, whereas in dynamic typing, you need not to declare your variable. You can just initialize it with some value and you can use it. In static typing, you cannot change the data type of your variable by assigning a different type of data to it. Same can be possible in dynamic typing. In static typing, variables cannot hold different type of data, whereas in dynamic typing, it can hold different type of data. As everything gets decided during compile time, static typing languages are much faster than dynamic typing languages. That's all for the day, and I'll see you in my next episode.